about you, but I've always had this predisposition as a photographer that woodland photography, summer and middle of the day are probably the three worst combos that you could ask for when it comes to going out with your camera. And as the years have gone by, I think it's just annoyed me more and more, because at the end of the day, all I ever want to do is just get out with my camera. And whilst I think it's absolutely fine to have preferences of all things photography, you know, gear and location and weather and season and all of these things, I just think it's really a shame to limit yourself to those preferences. And put it this way, and I know this is a fact as far as I'm concerned, if I did it my way, I'd just be in the Highlands of Scotland all the time and hiking 2 or 3 times a week and travelling for my photography. But even for somebody like me that is lucky enough to be able to do this full time, that is just not feasible. So sometimes you just have to bite the bullet. In fairness, I guess bite the bullet isn't really the right term, is it? That's a little bit negative, but you get what I mean. I think there comes a point where you've just got to accept that you can't always get what you want. You cannot always get what you want, absolutely not in landscape photography. So I'm trying to just challenge that very sentiment in today's photo shoot. Middle of the day, woodland, middle of summer. Yeah, all right, I've got this predisposition that I'm fighting against, that's telling me that this is really uninspiring. But I mean, look at this. Look at it behind me. What's uninspiring about this? It's beautiful. And the quote of this video, or maybe the best quote that any photographer can have, is there are always photographs to be had. Let's see if we can go and find some. So for the past half hour, something like that, I've been wandering around this woodland, kind of getting frustrated by all of the ferns, because there's so many of them. They're taking up so much space, obviously, across the woodland floor. And then I thought to myself, why? Why are they annoying me? This is this predisposition in action once again. The ferns are absolutely beautiful, and I started trying to embrace them. And it's fantastic, because purely by just choosing to look at them with a positive slant, I started seeing images. And as I started slowing down, I found this beautiful, tiny little leaf here just reflecting all of the harsh midday light amongst all of the ferns. And it's gorgeous, well worth a photograph. So I've got the 24 to 200mm lens on, and what I've done is actually step back a little bit from the subject so that I can zoom right in at 200mm, and it really gives us that beautiful compression effect, helps to blur the background even more, and it's looking like a really nice intimate image. You can see the tripod there behind me, dumped, not been used. I faffed around with it for ages, but it got to the point that it was actually just becoming a burden. I didn't need it. You know, again, it's another positive spin. It's really bright, the light's really harsh, but it makes the settings with the camera a lot easier. It makes dialing them in so much easier. So I don't even need to bump my ISO up. I'm getting 1/100th of a second shutter speed at f6.3, and it means that, yeah, there's no point in using the tripod. And with intimate little photographs like this, especially when you've got a giant holly bush here next to you with loads of other ferns and foliage, it's important that I get exactly the right perspective. And that's really important, I feel, when you're taking intimate photographs. I say this a lot. You still have to compose. You're not just zooming in on a really nice subject, in this case this little leaf with some water droplets on it. You've still got to try and create a little composition, and I've tried to do that by allowing this kind of the red stem of the plant to kind of curve through some of those background ferns, which, as they were annoying me just a few minutes ago, I'm delighted that I've managed to actually get some in a photograph, because it makes me feel like I've won the battle. Well, I think this is when it can get a little bit difficult in these sorts of environments, when, look at that, you've got all that dappled light coming in through the woodland. Yeah, that's when it can get hard. But again, for me, same as what I said about the ferns earlier, if I was to go around feeling a bit disgruntled about all of the harsh light, the hot spots that are shining through the woodland canopy, that would just be me being negative, pessimistic. That would be a negative spin, because there is so much more to what is going on, and it's just gone. But yeah, there's so much more to just that one thing that is going on here in the woodland. And I think the woodland, once you're able to have that positive outlook on it, it can be a really good place to come in terms of accessibility. If you can't get out to these amazing places all the time, for whatever reason you might not be able to go out on hikes at all, you might not be able to travel, the woodland's great. Once you snap into that mindset, you actually realise that there's images every sort of 3 steps. The woodland changes so much. I could go out on a hike and it probably takes me, I am just guesstimating here, but 200 metres at a time for the landscape around me to change in perspective, and even then it's very minimal. Whereas when you take those few steps in the woodland, everything changes. You look through the woodland and all the trunks are in a different order. You've got a whole world beneath your feet. You might have walked past 20 different plant species with those 3 steps. It's incredible. And honestly, it doesn't just have to be the woodland. I'm obviously just using that example because that's what I so happen to be photographing today. It's whatever's local to you. There are images everywhere, and you've really got to embrace that idea. And at the end of the day, if you're going out with your camera, you're still winning. You're still doing exactly the same thing that may inspire you at big, epic locations. And I mean, this proves my point. Exactly what I was going to say. The woodland in this section here just seems to be so different. I'd really like to try and challenge myself. Look at that up that section there. Look at the ferns, we love them. Stunners. They are a bit messy. They are a bit intense. But yeah, I'd really like to try and challenge myself to see if I can get a little bit of a wider shot and not always focus on intimate details. I've decided to just switch back and start heading back the way that I came from, really, just because of the light. I want to be kind of walking into the sun. Everything sort of that way, to me anyway, just looks really kind of unappealing and a little bit flat, so I want to give myself the best chance with the light. As I have a little wander back, I would love to say another massive thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. Now, if you've not heard of them, Squarespace are an all-in-one platform that you can use to build your own website, which is what I did. My own website through Squarespace. Best thing about them is that it's so easy. They've got lots of professional looking templates other people have made. You just choose one that suits you, add some text and a few images, and before you know it, you'll have your website up and running. And then once you've got it, you can do what you want with it. It could just be somewhere that's like a portfolio to showcase all your photographs, or you can have an online shop like me, again through my own Squarespace website. I use it to sell my prints, my ebooks. I advertise workshops on there. I've got presets on there at the minute. All of these things mean I can run this as a business. So if it's ever something you thought you might want to do, maybe, you know, try selling some of your prints, have a look at Squarespace. They are fantastic. And just to top it all off, Squarespace have also got award-winning customer service. So as unlikely as it is, because it is so easy, but if you are struggling with anything along the way, they will be there to give you a helping hand. They come highly recommended from me. If you'd like to give them a go, use the link in the video description below, or head to squarespace.com/Henry Turner to get yourself a 14-day free trial. So if you're curious, why not have a look? You've got nothing to lose. And if you like your free trial, make sure to use the offer code Henry Turner at checkout to get 10% off your first purchase. Another massive thank you to them. Wow. Oh wow. I think just because you're feeling inspired and you're up for the challenge and all of that, Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to come out and find good photographs. This has been tough, let me tell you. But I think I've finally come across a bit more of a wider scene that I think is worth a go at. Oh, the light's looking half decent there, I think. It was actually this big tree on the right hand side that first caught my eye, together with the light, probably as it is now actually. That's ideal. And what we're getting is, it's a little bit cloudy beyond the canopy of this woodland. And when we've got full sunlight, I don't really like it. When the sun's directly behind a cloud, it's better, but I'm still not a fan. What I'm waiting for is the sun just to start going behind one of the clouds just covering the sun, and we're getting a lot more diffused light, but it's quite few and far between, and I've got to be quick. So all I've done is stood here for 15-20 minutes and just taking varying images in different light. And the composition's quite simple. I've just got this big tree on the right hand side, and then a few of the branches that come off the tree here, these bare branches at the bottom that are moss covered, are just leaning into the scene, which I quite like. And then of course we've got all these kind of straight trees over here, a mixture of sort of silver birch and some oak trees that are just filling that sort of top left hand quarter, which is lovely. And then the ferns that I was struggling with so much before are just kind of intertwined between the rest of the composition. But yeah, it's not easy, but fun regardless. Genuinely, I'm still really enjoying it, and I feel like I've been saying throughout this video, it's just a mindset shift. This to me is usually something negative, but why? I'll show you this image now and we'll talk about something else. I often wonder that as individual photographers, when our minds are made up by other people, other photographers. So what I mean by that is we always hear it, and I've said it loads on this channel because it's like a kind of personal opinion. Summer is quite tricky when spring comes to an end. Woodland in harsh light like this is quite tricky, and I don't really enjoy it very much. I wonder if because we hear that all of the time, we start to dismiss it and we start to take it as gospel, like, oh yeah, I don't like shooting in the woodland in the summer. But perhaps a lot of the time we don't even agree with that. It's just kind of like been positioned in our minds as the truth, when really, in any type of art, there is no real truth. Because we're all individuals, we've all got completely different opinions. I know some photographers, man, that don't like going out in the mountains. It doesn't do anything for them. That blows my mind, but fair enough. Again, we're all individuals. It's completely subjective. So I guess the moral of this is, yes, take people's advice on when's nice to shoot, what locations are nice to go to, what light is nice, etc. But in the same way that you've got to choose the right camera that suits you, you've got to go out and make these decisions yourself. You know, go out and experiment, find out what works for you, find out what you like and what you don't like. And you know, there might be some of you watching now. Let me know down in the comments. There might be some of you out there now that actually prefer to come out in the middle of summer in harsh light in the woodland. Let me know. So don't get me wrong, I would have thoroughly enjoyed to have got some more nice photographs this afternoon, but on the other hand, I always like to show the reality to you lot that it isn't always rainbows and butterflies. In fact, seldom is it rainbows and butterflies, but it's just been nice. It's been nice to just wander around this woodland. I'm getting to know it a little bit better actually, and it's fantastic. I've mentioned before, if you'd like to sign up to my newsletter, not only will you get some quite average photography chats, to be honest, and some updates and stuff from me if you're interested, but you will also get a free 15-page PDF guide on how to get sharp photographs forever. So QR code there, or I'll leave a link in the video description below. And yeah, it's just a fun little thing, the chats. But yeah, the guide's really good. I spent ages on it. But anyway, thanks a lot for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. See you on the next adventure. Out.